you know what, some people come to these seminars, you know, and there's obviously stuff for sale, and I always remember people say, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. Like, okay, duh, you know. You got to buy college. How are you going to get any more information if you don't invest in your education? But I got to tell you something. We got to be better salesmen than your mom, dad, brother, sister, preacher, and teacher. Because if we're not, they're going to tell you you can't do it, it can't be done, don't try this, don't try that. You just got to get away from that kind of thinking. I'm going to tell you this, if you got the inner voice, you got to start paying attention to the inner voice. For me, the inner voice comes from a power much greater than myself. And you know what happens is, we don't learn that filter. We call that aha. We call that coincidence. We call that the stars are aligned. We call that I got a creative idea. We call that gut instinct. You know, many people call it different things. Some people call it Elohim. Some people call it Yahweh. Some people call it God. Some people call it Buddha. Nobody cares what you call it. That inner voice is not a gut instinct. You know what I mean? It is a power much greater than yourself. And I'm telling you, if you had belief to be here, there's a reason for that. I look back. Remember I said, I thought I could do something better with my life. Where would that come from? I didn't have successful parents. I'd never been to a motivational seminar in my life. I didn't know anything about getting rich or making money. When I came out of prison, my idea on success was to raise a family. And you know what? I wanted to get married. That's what I wanted to do. I got married in 6 months, believe that or not. And not by plan, it just happened. I had 3 beautiful, beautiful children, married, you know, for 30 years. That was a power much greater than myself. But that was my goal, folks. My goal was I wanted to raise a family. You know why I wanted to raise a family? Because I wanted to prove to myself, I think, that kids didn't have to go through what I went through growing up. And I wouldn't even get into the detail with you on how horrible it might be. And some of you may be much, that was my idea of success. I didn't even know, it wasn't even the thought that I could be a millionaire, you know, when I got out of prison. That came with something better I could do with my life. I never even had the idea till I got the book. Okay, and the book said, the Mark Harrison book said, besides the cosmetic improvements, and besides the mathematical formula, you know what it said? It said you could be a millionaire if you follow these steps. Let's go back to ignorance. I was that ignorant. If it was in print, in a book, it must be true. Okay, that's where my thinking was back then. I never questioned that. I believed right there that I could be a millionaire following the stuff in that book. Now keep in mind that I bought lots and lots and lots of materials over the years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. I became a product of this industry. I became a product of self-help. But when that book said I could be a millionaire, and I'm going to tell you what makes a millionaire, whether you have the chance or you don't. How would you like to know right now whether you could be a millionaire or not, whether you could hit that success you want to get? How many would like to know that one way or the other right now? Okay, good, because you know what? If you knew you can't, get your money back and go home, okay? Well, here's how I figured it out. And I didn't know it when it happened, okay? It took me 7 years to figure out what happened to me and why I hit success and many others don't. When that book said I could be a millionaire, that's all I wanted. That's all I saw was focus. I want to be a millionaire. I didn't realize until 7 years later why. Now, for me, folks, it was never about the Rolexes. It was never about the jets. It was never about the limos. In my beginning years, I never bought a new car. I don't think I ever bought a new car until I was 27. I put all the money back in because I wanted millionaire so bad. Now, a lot of people think it was greed. Remember I told you, you know, that it's not about the money and there doesn't need to be balance. But I'm going to teach you where that balance needs to come in. But where did that want to be a millionaire came from? You know where it came from? When I was 27. And I hit that net worth of $1 million. I realized all along that I wanted to be a millionaire so I could show, although I was just that cocky, that arrogant at this point in my life. Well, I wanted to show those people who said I was nobody, said I was nothing, said I was a loser, said I'd wind up the rest of my life in jail. It was only 3 years, so they were off. But that's why I wanted to be a millionaire. That's what made me go for it. You know what it was in reality, folks? It was I needed to be a millionaire to get rid of the pain. I needed to be a millionaire for my self-esteem. I needed to be a millionaire for my own confidence. I needed to be a millionaire for my family. That's what drove me. And here's what I'm going to tell you right now. If you want to get rich, if you want to be a millionaire, you've got to have a reason bigger than the money. Does that make sense? Now I'm going to give you a law. Now I'm going to take it into a law for you. This is called the law of cause and result. Write that down. The law of cause and result. Okay. The law of cause and result says this. Money in business is a result, not a cause. Money, success, the jet, the planes is a result, not a cause. And here's what that means. If you get into a business, whether it's bulk REO, general real estate, something I teach you or something anyone else teaches you, and it's about the money, it's about the Rolex or the jets, you're probably not going to do well at it. If you get into business because you like the business, the inner voice, listen to that. You like the business. You educate yourself. You get up every day and you do this business. You have a passion for this business. And then you do the business correctly. The money comes automatically. Does that make sense? Law of cause and result. Too many people are chasing the get-rich-quick scheme. Too many people are chasing the quick money. Too many people are in the result and not in the cause. And I can tell you what, a lot of us fall into that. I've done that. You know, it's not like I knew this, guys. I had to learn this along the way. But here's how my life works. We've all heard success is a journey. I thought that was complete crap, you know, when I was getting started. Here's the way I would do it. If I'm going to take a river rafting trip, I go to the base camp. I see all the boats, and they load the boats up. And then, you know, you're on a river rafting trip, and it ends up. I see the boats. I say, all right, well, take me on the bus to the end now. Let me just see where everything ends up. I don't need to do the journey. Does that make sense? And when we don't do the journey, we miss the whole point. When we're not listening to that inner voice, you know, that inner voice is starting right here. We're not promised, from all the cross sections of every religion and philosophy that I have studied in this last 3 years that I have been retired and traveling the world trying to find myself. There is no religion that I have found yet that believes any other than this. That whoever created this universe, if humans were created in the same vein of this creator, we weren't built with enough energy for tomorrow, next week, and next year. We just don't have the energy for tomorrow, we're not built for it. And if we don't have the energy for tomorrow, next week, and next year, we certainly don't have the energy for tomorrow. Or yesterday, excuse me. So let me just say this. When you're living in tomorrow, you're in the result. All you can possibly have is anxiety, frustration, fear, and doubt. Am I right or wrong? Anxiety, frustration, because you're living in tomorrow. We only have energy for today. You need to be in today. You need to simply gather the information that you need to gather today. Tomorrow will have its own struggles. So we leave tomorrow for tomorrow. All we have in yesterday is guilt, shame, and resentment. So we've got to stay out of the guilt, shame, and the resentment. You know, God, whoever that is, grants us peace any day we want to give it to ourselves to accept what we can't change. I can't change what happened yesterday. I can't change that I went to prison. I can't change that I got divorced. I can't change that I was cocky, self-centered, and arrogant in my youth. I can't change that. However, I've been given that power of Alpha Omega. I can decide to give myself the peace anytime I want to. I don't have to wait for something or someone to sprinkle magic dust. We have that power. If you've got that inner voice, it's a matter of acting on it. It's a matter of believing it. It's a matter of having the courage and the faith to follow it. And to follow it with common sense. You know what I mean? We don't go roll dice in Vegas. Real estate isn't a roll of the dice. It's a calculated investment. We get the right education. We listen to the right people. We get around the right groups. Folks, we get calculated formulas and knowledge to achieve those goals. So the law of cause and result is important. I'm going to tell you, if you're here chasing the buck only, it's probably ain't for you. And I don't mean that in a nasty way at all. You know what's interesting is you look at the Michael Jordans or the Arnold Schwarzeneggers. Look at some real achievers. And, you know, they look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and say, wow, he was an overnight success. Well, the truth is, Arnold Schwarzenegger started bodybuilding at 15 years old in Austria. He worked his way up and finally got Joe Weider of Muscle and Fitness magazine to bring him over here and get him a visa to be here. He worked his butt off for 7 years, bodybuilding to get to the Mr. Olympia. By the way, you might not know this, but what Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu did to supplement their income is they did rehab and renovation on low and moderate income units in Venice, Florida. Did you know that? Or not Venice, Florida, but in Venice, California. So they actually worked in rental units. You know, I don't know that they made big money, but that's how the story goes. Well, you know what? When did Arnold Schwarzenegger, does anybody know how old he was or what was the pivotal turn that turned him into a huge star? Does anybody know what movie it was? No, he wishes. No, it was Terminator. Terminator, which Arnold did at 38 years old. Now, he did Hercules of Manhattan. Do you remember that? B-rated, C-rated, embarrassing movies. The Conan movies. None of those hit it big. Terminator. You know how old he was? 38 years old. Arnold Schwarzenegger's overnight success took 15, 25, 35, 6, 7, 8, 23 years. How about Michael Jordan? You know, Michael Jordan didn't make his JV, and I don't think he made starter on his varsity team first year or two. He sat the bench. But, was it college? Yeah. But there's a story I read about him in his biography where he'd be outside of his building where he lived shooting baskets all night. There was no lights, put a flashlight on the windowsill so he could continue to shoot baskets. Loved what he did. Did it more than everybody else did. You know, if you love what you do, you're willing to get up in the morning, stay late at night because you love what you're doing. Your chances of succeeding are going to be great. That's where the winners come from, man. It's the people who find the passion. Now, there's a little shallowness to that, guys, and I want to be honest with you. Okay, find something you're passionate about. Okay, great. Let's think about that for a minute. I'm passionate about strip clubs. I'd like to own a whole chain of strip clubs. Okay, not really, but I'm giving you an example. Well, maybe I would. I don't know. But I don't think the universe would honor that with me. In other words, I know that I'm here for a reason, and I've been continue to look for that reason, especially in the last 3 years. There came a point where I went through some tragedy. 4 years ago, I lost 80% of my net worth. I lost $30 million in a business that I was in, $55 million in stock value. I lost my 10-seat jet. Now, listen, it didn't take all my money, okay? It took 80% of my net worth. 20% of a lot's still a lot, so I'm okay. But I'm just saying that I went on this path to find out why. Why would that happen after years and years and years of success? Why would that happen after years and years of working my butt off and doing things right? Because my passion wasn't in line with the inner voice. Does that make any sense? We're all here for a reason, guys, and I know what my reason is. I can tell you what my reason is, and you know, I don't want to make it too sappy. But I've been struggling with that over the last 3 years. My finances are set. I mean, I still got a Ferrari. I still live in a $4 million home. I mean, I still have the luxuries of life. But I have an emptiness. I had an emptiness here. You know what I mean? Real estate is, for me, folks, second nature. I can do it in my sleep. You know what I mean? It's not a challenge to me. So where's the passion? And I say for you the same thing. Follow that inner voice and looking for the passion and the direction. Not what you want to do, but what you want to do that lines up with your experience in life. Because normally where you're going to be driven to is going to be based on what your experience is, what's your background, what's your worldly and social experience, what do you like, what are you best at. See, I can do real estate in my sleep, and I do. You know, the syndication stuff, this ALF, you know, it's thrown off $7 million. I have office buildings, and I don't say that to brag. Got that. But still what? You know what I've learned is, I went 3 years ago, guys, and I'm just going to tell you this for your own, I'm coming down here, thanks. Just for your own, you know, knowledge and benefit. When all this stuff happened to me about 3 years ago, I quit. I walked away from a business that was generating $250 million a year. Walked away from it. And I went on this mission, and the mission was, what am I here for? And I'm going to pose these questions for you to ask yourself these. Some of you younger, it may not matter as much. And I'm going to go about a slide or two, and I'm going to show you the phases you go through in life, from vanity to warrior to statesman to spiritual. And you're going to be able to see right where you are right now. Where do you fit in this whole plan, okay? Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I came to a point where I raised the family, made the money, had all the, you know, all the niceties of life. But I still, my question was, what am I here for? What's the point? What's it about? Now think about this. The first thing that I learned is that life is like a game. But I didn't have a scoreboard, do you? I didn't have a time clock, do you? So let's talk about that for a minute. What's life about? Have you ever asked yourself, you're here chasing money, and you know what? You'll learn every strategy in the world you can learn here. You'll get all you can get. And you'll go with everything we can possibly give you that you came here for. And that's not going to guarantee whether you're a success or not. You got some work to do and you got some thinking to do. And that's what this conference is about. I want to give you the 30,000-foot view. And I told you this yesterday. We could teach you how to do bulk REO. The mathematics to getting financial independence is 8th grade math. Add up rents, deduct expenses. If there's positive cash flow, that's X. If I take my down payment, divide it into the positive cash flow, that gives me a rate of return on my money. I can teach that to a monkey, okay? That's not your problem. Problem's here. Problem is, are you aligned with what you're supposed to be here for? Second piece, I can teach you how to do lease option contracts, wholesale contracts. I can teach you human engineering, negotiation skills. I can teach you how to do all that. It's not your problem, okay? The issue that we have to deal with is, what's the point? Now, I went on, when I say I went on a 3-year mission, and I came back from this about 6 months ago to decide would I ever come out and talk to a group again. I didn't think I would. Now, my mission took me to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Israel, Haiti, Colombia, Italy, France. I traveled the world. I took some of my family members with me on some of it, but not all of it. And I worked with some of the top business, motivational, spiritualists, Jim Rohn. Worked with Jim Rohn while he was still alive. Tommy Hopkins, Zig Ziglar. I spoke on the stages with Donald Trump. I've been to Donald Trump's club many times. I worked with Donald Trump on building his own education company. When he wanted to build the Trump University, he came to me. I've worked with Deepak Chopra's, Wayne Dyer's of the world, big names, directly and indirectly. And this last 3 years was for me to find out what's this about. Because here's how it looked to me. It looked like a big hamster wheel. Do you know what I mean by hamster wheel? See him in a cage, on the hamster wheel. Every day. Think about this in your life. We're on a hamster wheel, trying to make money. Want to get a bigger car. Want to get a bigger house. Want to get financial security. Want to have a nice vacation. And we're on this wheel, and we're on this wheel to get stuff. And then every once in a while, we put a day together and we say, wow, I had vacation, or a nice golf day, or a family day. Life is good. And the next day, 75 years later, we die. Think about it. Is that what it's about? How many times do we ever stop to think and contemplate what's it about? Interesting question, isn't it? And that's exactly where I was. It doesn't matter whether they have a lot of stuff or don't. It's a heck of a question. And where does this whole training fit into how you're going to do? You know, how you're going to do. Where does that philosophy fit? And here's what I learned. One of the first things I learned. My goal, what do you want me to do? I'm 50 years old. What do you want me to do? What is it I'm here for? And here's what I found. Let's take life. Life, if you don't mind, and I don't mean to do it lightly, but life, I'm going to liken it to a game, if you will. And let's take the game of basketball. Is everybody kind of familiar with basketball? All right. Basketball is the game. The time clock is an hour, okay, so the game lasts for an hour. After an hour, game's over. Scoreboard tells us whether we win or lose or not. Game's over. No anxiety, no frustration, no fear, no doubt. It's over. Done. Boom. Move on to the next thing. You with me? What about life? This is one of the things, folks, that kept me in constant anxiety. It kept me from enjoying my wealth. It truly kept me from enjoying it. Did I do nice things, have fun times? Yeah, I did. But it kept me from enjoying it. That doesn't mean the money's not good. We need an understanding of it. If you've got the blessing to make money, that means you have the ability to help a lot of people. And you have an obligation to do that, folks. You have an obligation to use what was given to you, that talent, to help. And a lot of you will in a big way. A lot of you have in a big way. So let's take life. See, I never knew how much was enough. I said when I was 23, when I made $1 million, I'm gonna retire. And I got to the million. Thought, well, maybe $1 million is not enough. Maybe I need 10 million. Boom, I set that and go up, made 10 million. You know what? I got to a point 30 years later, I had paid for cash a $7 million Citation 7 jet. A Rolls Royce, paid for. A Ferrari, paid for. Most of my real estate, paid for. I mean, life O'Reilly, folks, okay? Had all that stuff. How much is enough then? Does that make sense to you? How much is enough? I have $60 million in the bank at that point in time. How much is a freak enough? And that's the point I want to make. Let's take life, the game of life, like basketball. Here's what the game of life's about. And this is something I want you to focus on this weekend. Life is a search for the truth. It's a search for your truth with that inner voice and that higher power of your own understanding, not someone else's, your understanding. Search for the truth, and it's a search for a truth one day at a time. Now, it's okay to have goals. It's okay to have plans. When we start living in the goal and the plan, that's where we miss the whole point of life. That's where we blow the scoreboard, because we have to be. When we're living in the future, we have to be in anxiety, frustration, fear, and doubt. We have to, because we don't know what's going to happen. And when we start bringing up the past, you remember when you did that, and you all that is going saying, get out of that. Just get out of that. That just makes no sense whatsoever. We're not supposed to be there. The only reason we're there is human training. What mom, dad, brother, sister, preacher, teacher plugged in your brain your whole life. You're a product of what's been put in your brain. It's now time to start getting some new information from some people who've been there, who've been in that position, who've seen it and found a new way, a new belief. And there's no one size fits all. There's no template that I'm going to tell you have to fit into. What I'm going to give you is a series of suggestions, folks, on new beliefs, some new ways to look at things. And it's up to you at that point in time. Take the ones you like, try them. Try them on for size, see how they fit. The ones you don't like, throw them out. Maybe you're just not ready for them yet. That's possible. So let's go to the game of life. What is it about? The game of life is a search for the truth. That's the game. Instead of basketball, search for the truth every day between you and that inner voice, okay? What is the time clock? What's the time clock on life? See, I was always in next deal, next this, next that. Time clock's today. That's why all I want you to do is focus on today. Forget about tomorrow. Forget about whether or not you're going to do the next Boca REO. I can tell you, all your job is in life is this. Here's your job. Your job in Boca REO, in money making, in life is show up every day. Suit up. Bring your common sense and your intelligence to the game every day. And you stay out of the results. You leave the result to that inner voice. You have no business being in any result whatsoever. You can't affect the result. I promise you that. All right, so the game of life is a search for the truth. The time clock's today. That's all we want to do is focus on today. Well, what's the scoreboard? How do you know whether you're winning today or not at the game of life? It ain't about money. Here's how you know, because the money's going to come. If you suit up, you show up, you bring your common sense to the game, you educate yourself, and you do what you're doing today. What's going to happen is going to happen. You're either going to make the money or you're not. And if not, then there's going to be a new route. You're going to find a different route to get to wherever you're supposed to be in this life. Just don't quit, see? Don't ever quit. So, game of life, search for the truth. Time clock today. How do I know whether I'm winning? At the end of the day, here's your scoreboard. What is my ratio of being happy, joyful, and at peace, with the absence of anger, anxiety, frustration, fear, and doubt? Time clock today. How do I know that you only can win it one day at a time? You can't win tomorrow. You definitely can't do anything about yesterday. Give yourself the peace to get out of yesterday. Nothing you can do about that. Time clock today. Scoreboard. Ratio being happy today. Enjoy today. This whole 3 days is going to be incredible. You have some of the top speakers of the country here. We're going to be here hanging with you. I don't speak and then run to my room except for golf tomorrow. You're not going to see me for that. But I'm going to go early so I can be back, spend some time. That's what I'm here for, okay? And so the scoreboard, my ratio being happy, peaceful, and free. Free, mentally. The absence of anger, anxiety, frustration, fear, and doubt. That's how you know. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so let me tell you two things. Let's go back to when I wanted to be a millionaire. The goal for me that was bigger than the money was to get rid of the pain. You got to find something bigger than the money. So the pain I went through, I was put here to go through that pain. It's given me broad shoulders. I can talk to anybody from prison, to somebody who's been an alcoholic, to somebody who's been a drug addict, to somebody who's successful, to sitting with Donald Trump, to sitting in the top boardrooms in the world. I can talk to anybody. This right here, what I've come to believe, my purpose in life, was not the real estate, got all that, got the gems. What was keeping me down is I wasn't listening to the inner voice. I wasn't listening. And what I realize here is, this is my church right here. This you all are my church. There is a whole realm of people that are opportunity seekers, just like you, who were like me, broke, parole, prison, abused family. All I want to do is get rich. And you know what? I found it in books and tapes. I'm not any smarter than any of you. There's nothing miraculous that I've done that you can't do, other than I had a benefit. I was more ignorant than you, probably. I didn't have as much education as you. And you know what? Jim Rohn taught me this very, very great statement once, and I've lived by this. He said, Russ, whatever you do not let your learning lead to knowledge, son, or you'll become a fool. Let your learning lead to action. That's what gets people rich, see. In more ways than one, action is the key. You would not have the thought, ladies and gentlemen, to be rich if you couldn't accomplish the goal. You wouldn't have the thought. Now, I'm going to tell you this. You wouldn't have the thought of thinking you could be successful with Boca REOs if you couldn't achieve it. But I'm going to tell you this. Many of you will not. Boca REO is going to be a stepping stone for you to find what it is you have to do. So you can't figure out what you want to do until you know what you don't want to do. Folks, I bought hundreds and hundreds. If you look, I have 4 libraries. Any one of the staff that's here has been to my house numbers of times, any one of a number of my houses. Every one of them has bookshelves, hundreds and hundreds of books. I bought way more books than you'll ever dream of spending. And that's because I went through the minefield. But you know what? Not all of them worked for me, but all were little pieces to the puzzle to get me where I got to go. All of these things are little pieces of puzzle. Don't cheat yourself out of the chance. Don't cheat yourself. If you got a gut feeling for a training, if you got a gut feeling for a home study course or a piece of literature that your gut is telling you you should do, then you do that. Don't listen to the guy next to you, the negative person or the one that's trying to steal your dream. You've got a much higher authority directing you. You've got to start filtering that. When you get aha, you know how many times I said aha? Coincidence. Stars are aligned. Lucky. I got this great idea. Where do you think that comes from? It didn't come from mom, dad, brother, sister, preacher, teacher. It didn't come from the newspapers, rape, pillage, plunder, recession, depression. It's coming from somewhere. You didn't bring it with you. Where's it coming from? I think we need to go on inside and start looking inside for the answers. And folks, I'm going to tell you that the honesty with self, that's what we're doing right now. Are you open-minded? Oh, there it is. Okay. What happened to this one? You know what? Next time we do this, we have Kenny go first, so he could deal with all the mistakes and you get it right for me. See, you're smarter than I thought he was. No, it's all good, Russ. It's all good. The honesty is what we're having right now. See, this isn't a conversation I would just have with anybody. I can tell you 5 years ago and in my past doing a keynote speech, I would never have had this talk. Last 3 years have really gotten me to a place where I'm dealing inside and I'm looking for what is that direction. I had to get honest with myself, you know. I had to get honest with who I was and who I wasn't. Then I had to get open-minded. Are you open-minded? See, some people, like yesterday, I remember when I was up on a stage here and I was talking about communication. I was talking about contacts. And I mentioned Swiss bankers, okay, Pictet, and you know, me and Donald Trump got hooked up because we have the same Swiss banker. And I saw some people roll their eyes like, is he trying? Now, I want to be careful with contempt prior to investigation. Do you know what contempt prior to investigation is? I've already decided what they're thinking. I don't really know. You know, I'm just putting that on them. See, maybe they weren't thinking that, but my sick mind told me that that they were rolling their eyes because I was either being too highfalutin or it was way beyond them. You see, that's not open-minded. How about we ask a few more questions? Because you see, my Swiss banker, Michael Blank, he'll deal with somebody with 25 or 50 grand, you know, on an asset protection base. Our asset protection lawyers who help our students set up corporations, Michael Blank is the contact that comes through that lawyer. The lawyer you can use to set up an LLC. You now have that contact. It's not over your head. So are we going to be open-minded this weekend? Are we going to shut down? Now, listen, your gut. Have you ever had this gut feeling? You don't say gut feeling. Something just don't seem right. Indians used to say, call that speaking with forked tongue. If you got a bad gut feeling, something probably is wrong. You see, that's that inner voice too. But if you're just plain negative and everything's bad, then you've got a problem. So honesty, open-minded, and then willing, folks. The willing part, maybe some of you here aren't going to take action on bulk REO. Maybe you're still scared. Maybe it's not time. Maybe you haven't gone to enough seminars, read enough books. Maybe you haven't had enough pain yet. Maybe you're not sick and tired of being lonely and just trying to drag on and achieve this thing. You're here, folks. You have the ability. Does that make sense? So let's deal with honesty over this 3 days. Let's deal with open-mindedness. And then we got to get willing. Now, you know what Jim Rohn would have taken these three, and he would have put honesty as disgust. He would have put open-minded as decision, and he would have put willingness as action. And here's what he would have said. Guys, you got to get disgusted. That's when people make change. Disgusted with mediocrity, disgusted with poverty, disgusted with just dragging along, disgusted with just getting by, disgusted with not living my dreams, disgusted with not even trying. You see, sometimes that's what it takes. It takes a person to get disgusted. And you know what? Some people say sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's disgusted. And you know what happens when we get disgusted is the second ingredient kicks in. See, I'm dressing them up for you here. The second ingredient is decision. If you're going to do something different, decide and get on with it. Wrong decisions only give you better experiences to make better decisions. So we don't see how many we can get out of. Start seeing how many we can get into. But a guy says, well, you know, I need more time. Well, you know what? While you sit on the fence, the clock keeps ticking. And a person's life is used up with every tick of the clock. See, it doesn't matter which side you get off on that fence. Just get off. If you make the wrong decision, all it's going to do is give you a better experience to make a better decision. If you make a wrong decision, you were supposed to have that experience. None of us is going to be 100% right or 100% positive and zero negative. Just ain't going to happen. But if you want to get where you got to go, if you want to get to the talent that you are blessed with, to do what it is you want to do to help and leave a legacy here, you can do that. You are the Alpha, the Omega. You're the beginning. You're the end. That power was put inside you. There's nobody floating around in the air taking score. Let's see, you cursed today, you didn't make that decision, and you were nasty to that person. So that's a flat tire, stub your toe, and bad real estate deal. Not how it works, folks. And I'll tell you one, there's so many times where I was wondering, oh God, I'm going to guilt and shame. And you know what? I know that the higher power that I deal with looks down and says to me, Russ, take it easy on yourself, man. You ain't doing that bad. Folks, we punish ourselves enough. We don't need anything floating around to punish us. We do that. We also have the power to pull out of that anytime we want. We have the choice. Happy is a choice. Fun is a choice. Exciting is a choice. Action is a choice. So is anger, anxiety, frustration, fear, and doubt. Same things can happen to two different people. One gets rich, other one stays poor. What's the difference? The difference is what you do about what happens. That's what makes all the difference in the world, see. The magic isn't in the seminar. The magic isn't in the sun shining as opposed to the rain. The magic isn't in the literature. The magic isn't in the books. The magic's in you. The magic is in a handshake. The magic is in a smile. The magic is in caring and sharing. The magic is in compassion. The magic is in open-mindedness and willingness. You see, the magic, it always has been and is in you. So folks, I'm going to close with that today. Thank you very much for coming. Have a great conference. God bless everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much, folks. Stand up and give yourselves a round of applause. I'm going to show you the cheap way to get a standing ovation. Thank you. Come on, get up. Come on. This is for you, for you. You can do this. You can do this. How do you feel? One more time, how do you feel? All right, I will do what I ought to do. When I ought to do it. No debate. Have a great conference, folks.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks.
Great job, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.